Unless Donald Trump has a Grinch-like epiphany over the next 38 hours, the United States government is set to shut down for the second time during his presidency. Joining me now is Congresswoman Joyce Beatty from Ohio, the incoming chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Madam Chair, incoming chair, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here with you today, Jonathan, and congratulations on the show. I've been watching it.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, let's talk about some serious matters here. Tomorrow, it's been reported that Speaker Pelosi is going to bring to the floor the president's proposal, which blew up his own Treasury Secretary's $600 payments, stimulus payments to Americans, to bump it up to $2,000. How likely is it that your Republican colleagues will actually go along with the Speaker and, by extension, with the president?
Well, this is interesting. We've been asking for $2,000 from the very beginning of our negotiation. So to have Donald Trump play his hand with saying he now wants $2,000, if we don't get it tomorrow in a bipartisan fashion, that's going to be on the hands of my Republican colleagues. It will pass the House because Democrats will stand up for and with the people with it. But it's a sad day when you look at the millions of people who are going to be without funds, who are putting at risk their mortgage or being evicted if they're renting, not being able to put food on the table. It will be a sad day if they don't join us.
And so, but the likelihood, Congresswoman, is that they won't. So then what happens next?
Well, then it will pass the House. We will have enough members to pass it. So we'll put it back in Donald Trump's court. You have to remember, we passed in a bipartisan fashion $600. So we agreed, sent that to the president. He comes out with $2,000. So I guess I'm saying to my Republican colleagues, get on board. Your party, your president is saying he wants $2,000. Let's see what the president can do to move Republicans for us to get that $2,000.
Well, what are you hearing from your Republican colleagues about why they don't want to support $2,000? I mean, the Republican president wants it.
Well, there are many of them who do want to support the bill, like many of our other bills, but they're afraid of this president. They're afraid of what could happen, but I think they should be more afraid of the people. Look what happened to this president in his election. That's why we have the Biden-Harris team. I think they should be looking towards what's going to happen in a few more days when we have the Georgia Senate race. That would then give us the majority in the House, the Senate, and the White House. So I think there are consequences that they will face in many ways.
Congresswoman Beatty, as you were answering my question, we just got word that President Trump has once again arrived at his golf course in Florida while unemployment benefits and other things have expired. One more question for you, and quickly, if you can, Congresswoman Beatty, why do you think the president has yet to actually veto the bill?
I think that he's trying to play his cards both ways. I don't think he knows what he wants to do. This is not unusual. One day he will say that he's going to support something or veto it. The next day it doesn't. I think a lot of the media attention when we've talked about people hurting, we know he doesn't care about that. He hasn't been in his office reading bills, working with the people. He's been on vacation, literally, while people are starving and dying, not only with this bill, but with COVID-19. When we look at this nation has 3 pandemics, when we think about the healthcare, when we think about the economy, which this package is all about, making sure that people can be able to keep their jobs or feed their families. And then we have the social injustices. Here is a president that doesn't know how to lead, and we should not be surprised. Look at his track record from the past 4 years. We've shut down governments on his watch because of my Republican colleagues following his lead or fighting with him and then cowering to him.
Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, incoming chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Thanks for coming to the Sunday Show.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.